Welcome back to Midwest Access. I'm meteorologist Sarah Gannon. It is a hot day outside here in southern Minnesota, northern Iowa. As high temperatures today have been well into the upper 80s and 90s here in southern Minnesota, northern Iowa, even with those heat index values into the triple digits in many locations. We had a heat index value over 100 here not long ago. Rochester area, though, earlier this afternoon, I did notice that current temperature was at 94. So I think so far that is our high for today, which makes today the hottest day we've seen so far this year for the Rochester area. So it's been a hot one. As I mentioned, we still have heat-related headlines that stay in effect through 9 o'clock tonight. In the pink, we have an extreme heat warning. In the orange, we have that heat advisory. Both heat-related alerts stay in effect until 9 o'clock tonight. So if you're looking to get out and about this evening, it will still be warm. It will be uncomfortable and muggy as well. We'll look to see temperatures cooling back to the 70s, not until about 10 o'clock or so tonight. Heat index values not dropping out of the 80s until about 11 o'clock midnight tonight. So staying warm and muggy through the evening hours, but some changes on the way. Let's talk about the next big thing, some relief from that humidity. Minor relief from the heat. I want to talk about dew points here briefly. Many of us have been looking at those dew points into the 70s and even some 80s here earlier today. Just downright uncomfortable. But notice off to our north and into our west, many of us will start to see some of those dew points dropping back into the 60s and ultimately the 50s. So gradually seeing that cooler, comfortable, more dry air moving in from the northwest. So looking at our muggy meter for this week, tomorrow will feel very refreshing compared to what we've seen so far today and throughout this weekend. Looking at dew points into the upper 50s tomorrow, kind of into those lower 60s through the midweek. By the end of the work week, seeing dew points kind of ticking back up again towards those mid 60s. Tomorrow, some relief from the heat. High temperatures, though, will still be above average, very summer-like into the mid 80s, but at least we're out of the 90s, right? So something to look forward to there. 10-day forecast for the area. We are looking at temperatures to remain in the 80s through about Thursday. A chance at dipping back into the upper 70s by Friday, but there is a good chance, increasing chance of shower and thunderstorm activity throughout the day on Friday. Continuing to monitor that potential. Looking forward to more seasonal, cooler, lower 80s through the weekend into next week. Let's look at your first alert weather.
Say at least trying to. Brings me back to Sarah. Sarah, it's so hot out there.
Ugh, it's uncomfortable. It's icky. That's my official forecast for today. It was icky. It's still icky out there this evening. We are looking to transition to some more comfortable conditions here for your Tuesday. A little relief from that heat and humidity in the coming days. We'll break down more of those first alert forecast details, and we see you back in just a few minutes at 5.
Muggy and downright uncomfortable out there. I'm Caitlin Alexander alongside meteorologist Sarah Gannon. Thank you for joining us. It is a first alert day here at KGTC. Sarah, we are hoping for some relief from these conditions soon.
Oh yeah, it is just downright uncomfortable. I think the official term that I would like to use is icky, if that's a good one to describe how things feel out there. It's just terrible. Heat-related headlines do continue here through the 9 o'clock hour. So we have our extreme heat warning for counties highlighted in pink, mainly North Iowa, but Houston County also included. But then we have southern Minnesota counties and a few North Iowa counties along and west of I-35. The orange highlighted counties there, that's a heat advisory. Both alerts are in effect until 9 o'clock tonight. So if you're looking to get out and about, maybe do a little grilling here this evening. It's going to be hot. It's going to be toasty. So maybe do some grilling and then come back inside. But like I alluded to, we are expecting to see some relief. Let's talk about that muggy meter here. By tomorrow, we'll be noticing some big improvement in the dew points. And they always say it's not necessarily the heat, it's the humidity. Tomorrow, feeling a lot more comfortable dew points in the upper 50s. They will gradually climb back into the low to mid 60s as we continue throughout this week. But mid 60s, whew, that feels a lot better than the 70s, even 80 that we had for a dew point this morning.
A huge game changer.
Yes.
It is that humidity. All right, Sarah, thank you.
High humidity remains here through this evening, but some relief on the way. We'll gradually feel that improvement in those dew points here throughout this week. Notice, though, if you're still looking to get out and about tonight, still uncomfortable. Heat index values not really dropping back to the lower 80s, upper 70s until about 10, 11 o'clock tonight. But like I said, expecting to see some big improvements in the dew points. We'll talk about those details in your first alert weather next.
Here's your first alert weather with meteorologist Sarah Gannon.
Another downright uncomfortable day here in southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. There was dew points today. even early this morning, especially, we're into the upper 70s and even some 80s in the area. Rochester International Airport reporting that dew point at 80.1 degrees here early this morning. Oofta, uncomfortable. We still have the heat here in the area, still at 93 in Rochester. Heat index value currently at 99. Charles City has been hanging out into the triple digits for those heat index values today. It's looking forward, many of us, to that improvement that's on the way. But still, we have heat-related headlines in place through 9 o'clock tonight. Our heat advisory, which is for counties highlighted in orange, and then we have our extreme heat warning for counties highlighted in pink. Both of them, again, for the covering the entire viewing area, and will stay in effect through 9 o'clock this evening. So if you are looking to get out and about here this evening, try to limit that time outside. It will be uncomfortable as you step out. We'll be looking at heat index values not really dropping back into the 80s until about 8, 9 o'clock here tonight. Not really making it back to the 70s until closer to midnight tonight. So the improvement, though, like I said, it is on the way. We're tracking the next big thing, and that's relief from the heat and humidity. Many of us still looking at dew points here in southern Minnesota, northern Iowa into the 70s. Notice some dew points into the 80s down towards the Des Moines area right now at 81. The focus, though, is going to be off to the west. Notice towards northern Minnesota, back into the Dakotas, where we have dew points into the 60s. Some relief from that high heat and humidity is on the way. We just have to get through tonight. Looking ahead to the muggy meter for tomorrow, we are expecting to be back into more comfortable levels. Dew points falling back into those upper 50s. And we will be gradually climbing back to the low 60s here through the midweek and into the upper 60s as we transition towards the end of the work week. So gradually seeing those dew points climbing here, but at least we have a couple days where dew points are much more comfortable. Even low to mid 60s are a lot more comfortable than the 70s and 80s. So as we look ahead to tomorrow, a little relief from the heat is on the way. High temperatures tomorrow for the area sitting into those mid 80s, which will be a lot cooler than the highs in the 90s that we saw today. Let's take a look at that 10-day forecast. No first alert days on the horizon here for us in southern Minnesota, northern Iowa. Instead, some sunshine here through about Thursday. Keeping an eye, though, on some shower and thunderstorm chances possible by Friday. That'll dip our temperatures back towards those upper 70s, some low 80s still, though, as we move into the weekend and early next week. But relief, which many of us have been waiting for and are excited to see, I'm sure, is finally looking to arrive. Just have to get through tonight.
Get through tonight. Yeah, we can do that, Sarah. Thank you. We're going to send things over to Brock Burgee with what he's working on for your news at 6 o'clock. Brock.
Let's take one more look at that 10-day forecast. We are tracking a little bit of some relief from the heat and, more importantly, the humidity. Dew points expected to be back into the 50s here on Tuesday. Temps will still be above average through between Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday into the mid-80s, but mid-80s will feel a lot better than highs in the 90s, especially kind of getting rid of some of that humidity. We are keeping an eye on some shower and thunderstorm chances for the area on Friday, so still keep an eye on the forecast here as we approach the end of the week, but temps looking to be a little bit more seasonal by this weekend into next week with highs into those low 80s.
We are excited to see those cooler temperatures heading our way.
Oh boy, am I ever.
Yes, and like a true Minnesotan, right, as we said earlier, not the heat,
it's the humidity,
right?
Yep.
Thanks for joining us for your news and weather today at 5 o'clock.
See you back here at 6.
What do you think? Fair to say it's the air you can wear out there on this Monday? Extremely muggy, hot conditions across the area tonight. And we are sure you already know that. Thanks for being with us. I'm Brock Burgee.
And I'm Caitlin Alexander. We hope you're inside watching this. It is a first alert day here at KGTC amid these uncomfortable conditions. So we begin with meteorologist Sarah Gannon live in the studio tonight. Sarah, everyone wondering, when will we see some relief?
Yeah, it's been pretty icky out there. I think icky has kind of been my official term for describing conditions such as this, and I think Brock did really well saying the air you can wear. Heat advisories remaining in place through 9 o'clock tonight for counties highlighted in orange. We have the extreme heat warning for counties highlighted in pink also until 9 o'clock tonight. So still hot, still humid here this evening, but the good news is relief is in sight. Through the rest of this evening, if you're looking to run out for some errands, have some activities here, still pretty uncomfortable through the 9, 10 o'clock hour. And as we move towards this morning, early in the morning there, we'll be looking at some 60s here for those temperatures early tomorrow morning. So like I said, improvement is on the way. We will be noticing it definitely with those dew points by tomorrow morning, looking into the upper 50s for those dew points, but gradually seeing dew points kind of ticking back up throughout the week. But I've got to say 60s for dew points is going to be a lot more comfortable feeling than the tropical soupy things that we've been feeling in the 70s and even some low 80s for those dew points here early this morning.
Anything will feel like an improvement at this point.
We need to air out, that's for sure.
Sarah, thank you.
It has been downright uncomfortable to be outside with the high heat and humidity here throughout this weekend and, of course, our Monday. The good news is some relief on the way, coming in the forms of lower dew points, lower humidity. Tracking dew points in the 50s and 60s here over the coming days. A big difference from the 70s and 80s we've been seeing for those dew points here the last few days. We'll talk more about those first alert forecast details and how the rest of your evening will play out in your first alert forecast.
Here's your first alert weather with meteorologist Sarah Gannon.
It is just downright hot and uncomfortable out there this evening. Here as we check in with your current temperatures and heat index values. A lot of us still sitting into the upper 80s, low 90s, and there are a few spots still seeing triple-digit heat index values. Just a quick update here, just in the last 10 seconds. So Winona area just dropping below that triple-digit value. We still feel about 99 right now in the Rochester area. It still feels about 92 and 94 in Mason City and Charles City, respectively. Heat-related headlines continuing through 9 o'clock tonight, so just a couple more hours. We have that heat advisory in place for counties highlighted in orange until 9 o'clock, and in pink, the extreme heat warning also staying in effect until 9 o'clock. So area-wide, we have heat-related headlines here for a couple more hours. The good news is relief is expected on the way, but we still have to get through kind of one more uncomfortable evening with the high humidity and those high warm temperatures still sticking with us. But expecting to see some changes heading into the upcoming week. So let's talk about the next big thing, and that's relief from this heat and humidity. Current dew points, you can see quite a bit of 70s, even some 80s through Iowa there. Des Moines feeling with that dew point there of 83 right now. 80 in Davenport. We still have about 70, 71 here in the Rochester area. Notice, though, dew points back towards the Dakotas. We're looking at 68, 69, 56 for dew points in that direction. So relief from that humidity is on the way. Less humidity is heading our way by tomorrow. So things should be a little bit more refreshing as you step out the door tomorrow. Much more comfortable. Dew points are expected to be in the upper 50s, and we'll gradually see dew points kind of creeping back into those lower 60s by Wednesday and Thursday, more towards the mid 60s heading into the end of the work week. So while we look at the muggy meter, and later in the week, we will be back to more of that sticky criteria, I feel like the 60s would be a lot more comfortable than the 70s and the 80s for dew points that we've been seeing here the last couple of days. So some relief also coming in the form of our temperatures. Saying goodbye to the 90s, we're looking at temperatures tomorrow into the mid 80s. That will also help things feel a little bit better than what we've been seeing the last few days. Continuing at that forecast trend, more improvement on the way through the rest of this week. Mid 80s for high temperatures through about Thursday. We could be looking at a quick drop back into the upper 70s here by Friday. We're also, though, monitoring for Friday some thunderstorm chances possible for the region. Temps then continuing to stay pretty seasonal into those lower 80s by this weekend and into next week.
As long as that muggy meter comes down, we'll all be fine.
I would agree.
Sarah, thank you.
Hey, look who's back, Nick.
We have our Garden Gallery winner here for this evening. We have Tina out of Orinoco with some beautiful lilies. Congratulations, Tina. You can head on over to Custom Retaining Walls and Landscaping to pick up your $10 gift certificate. Let's take one more look at that 10-day forecast. A lot more comfortable air on the way for the region this upcoming week. Dew points back in the 50s tomorrow, some low to mid 60s the rest of this week, but we are gearing up for temperatures to stay still slightly above average into the mid 80s. But I've got to say, mid 80s, a little bit better than the 90s that we've been seeing the last few days.
We will take what we can get. Thanks for joining us for your news, weather, and sports tonight at 6 o'clock.
We know you have a choice when it comes to your local news, weather, and sports. Thank you for choosing.
And we continue to keep an eye on the heat as we trend downward. Looking forward to some relief from the high heat and humidity in the next few days. Your first look forecast is coming up.
After a couple days of 90-degree weather, some relief from the heat and humidity is on the way. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Olivia Pronzinski, joined by meteorologist Sarah Gannon. Sarah, some more comfortable conditions on the way.
A little bit more, some relief I'm sure many have been waiting for. It's just been downright uncomfortable here in the area. Today's high temperatures climbing into the upper 80s, even 90s, 94 for that high in Rochester today, 90 in Mankato, same for Albert Lee, 91 in Mason City, Algona, and Charles City. So just downright uncomfortable. And I've got to point out here, 97 from La Crosse to Winona up towards Red Wing. The Twin Cities hitting 100 today for that afternoon high temperature. Just uncomfortably hot. and very humid. Tomorrow, some minor relief from the heat. We will be looking at temperatures into the mid-80s for the Rochester area. Mankato a little bit closer to the upper 80s, so still, like I said, minor relief from the heat. The greater improvement that we will see is going to be in our dew points. Expecting to see dew points in the upper 50s by tomorrow, and looking forward to dew points into the 60s throughout the rest of the week. Now, I know 60s for dew points can be a little sticky, but I feel like at this point, 60s would be way better for dew points than the 70s and 80s that we've been seeing so far.
Certainly. All right. Thank you, Sarah. We'll check back in soon.
And we continue to keep an eye on some exciting news for the region this week, gearing up for some relief from the heat and humidity. Temperatures a little bit cooler into the mid-80s for the region, maybe some upper 80s still possible towards Mankato. However, the biggest relief will be the drop in humidity. More on those first alert forecast details are next. Pretty hot out there for our Monday, but the good news is relief on the way. Still a couple counties in North Iowa hanging on with that heat advisory until the top of the hour at 10 o'clock this evening. So this does include Mason City towards Buffalo Center, Algona, back towards just west there of Kossuth County. So just a few counties remaining in North Iowa with that heat advisory. But like I said, big changes on the way, mostly for dew points. Let's talk about the next big thing. Still pretty muggy out there as we check in with our dew points here in southern Minnesota, northern Iowa. Plenty of 70s, 60s, even still 81, 82 for those dew points in Des Moines and Davenport. Notice off to the west, a little bit of some relief heading our way. We have 60s right now throughout portions of the Dakotas into portions of northern Nebraska. We'll gradually be watching more of that humidity kind of moving out of the area. So relief in terms of our dew points is heading our way. We have to wait till tomorrow, though. A little bit more comfortable with those dew points in the upper 50s to low 60s. So a lot more comfortable tomorrow. Dew points gradually creeping up into kind of the lower to mid 60s by the middle to end of the week. So a little bit more sticky still, but it's summertime. We always have a little bit of that humidity, but I will say 60s are probably a lot more comfortable and a little bit easier to manage with for dew points and that humidity level versus the 70s. So something to think about there as we compare kind of those numbers. But looking forward here, heat index values are not expecting to be quite as warm as what they have been so far. Maybe come Wednesday, Thursday, as we start to sneak in a little bit more humidity, we will still be looking at temperatures into the 80s this week. And heat index values, though, staying towards the upper 80s to lower 90s. So again, more relief heading our way. High temperatures tomorrow, staying towards the mid 80s here in southern Minnesota, northern Iowa. I will say there are a couple spots, especially west of I-35 towards Mankato, New Ulm, that could be sneaking into those upper 80s. So still a bit warm, very summer-like here, but looking at some minor relief from that high heat that we've been seeing so far. 7-day forecast for Mankato, monitoring the chance for a few showers and thunderstorms towards the end of the week on Thursday and Friday. 10-day forecast for Rochester. No first alert days here on the horizon, but monitoring that next potential rain chance. Many of us, I'm sure, looking forward to a little bit more moisture back in the area by the end of the week on Friday.
Moisture in the area, but not in the air.
Yes, a little bit of a trade-off.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
All right, thanks, Sarah.
Might have to try one of those here sometime soon. Forecast conditions looking a little bit better through the upcoming week. Not as hot. Little less humidity on the way. Looking forward to some relief there. Notice here dew point or heat index values looking to stay towards the 80s, though maybe some low 90s here in the next few days, but certainly staying away from the triple digits. So some minor improvement, always good. We'll track out how those dew points are looking as we look to track some less humidity on the way for the rest of this week. Those details in your first alert forecast coming up. And it's been a hot stretch the last few days. Still looking at some warmer temps through the rest of this week, but biggest relief will be in our dew points. We'll talk about those details coming up. A rather hot weekend for the region, and it did continue into the start of the week here for our Monday, but the good news is a little bit of relief on the way for us the rest of this week. High temperatures today ranging from the upper 80s upwards of 100 towards the Twin Cities area. Minneapolis registering triple digits for those highs today. A stretch of upper 90s between Red Wing, Winona, La Crosse there at 97. 94 was our afternoon high in Rochester. It's been nearly 3 years since we've seen a temperature that warm in the Med City. Mankato, Albert Lee, all climbing to 90 as well today. 91 in Algona, Mason City, and Charles City. Redwood Falls also climbing it to 91. Looking ahead to tomorrow, still hot, still summer-like, but a little bit better. Some improvement from the 90s, looking at 84 for the high here in Rochester, and in Mankato looking to be towards the upper 80s, but 88 in that direction. So a little bit west of I-35 could be looking at some upper 80s possible. Like I said, a little relief, but it'll be more so the dew points that we look to notice enjoying things just a tiny bit more outdoors here this week.
All right, thank you, Sarah.
Continuing with our warm summer temperatures for the week ahead. However, some minor relief when it comes to humidity. Looking to see less humid conditions for the coming days. Excited to see those lower numbers. And we get a break from the tropical feeling dew points that have been in the 70s so far. We'll talk the latest details on those first alert details next. We are looking ahead to some relief from the heat and humidity. As we look at today, we saw a high temperature of 94 in the Rochester area, and it's been a long time since we've seen conditions this hot here in the Med City. The last time we had a high temperature of 94 was back in 2023 on September 3rd. We did hit 94. The time before that, same year, August 23rd, and the high temperature was 97. That was a warm stretch there during 23, but comparing these two dates, almost 3 years, over 1,000 days ago. So such a long time. It's been a long time since we've seen temperatures this hot. Today is 90 in Rochester, the 5th 90 of this year. We are looking at that heat advisory still remaining for some counties in North Iowa until 10 o'clock tonight, and then we should be out of our heat-related headlines. We're tracking a little bit of some changes on the way. I'm sure many of us excited to see this change. Let's take a look at our current dew points. We are looking at those dew points into the 70s at this point in time. But notice up towards Duluth, back towards Wausau, even off towards the Dakotas, looking at dew points into the 60s. It'll still take a little bit. So we'll see a lot of progression here overnight, but dew points looking to be a lot more comfortable for the coming week. So we can say goodbye to the tropical air mass. Dew points expected to be into the upper 50s by tomorrow, kind of creeping back up again towards those lower 60s, mid 60s heading into the end of the week, into this weekend. So feeling a little sticky. It's summertime in the Midwest. We're used to it, but I'd say sticky would probably be the better alternative to the tropical and miserable feeling conditions with those dew points in the 70s and 80s that we've been seeing so far here in the last few days. So looking ahead to the upcoming week, like I said, good improvement, putting some numbers there with our potential dew points, expecting to see high temperatures still staying above average, but a lot better, a little bit better than the 90s that we've seen so far. Let's talk about tomorrow. Those high temperatures here across the board looking to be into those mid and upper 80s. We're looking at a few rain showers, some thunderstorms possible Thursday and Friday for the Mankato area. We'll take a look at that 10-day forecast for Rochester, keeping an eye on our own chance for some showers and thunderstorms on Friday. That's kind of our main rain chance here over the next 7 to 10 days. Not many chances, but we'll take what we can get.
All right, thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Nick. Here's one more look at that 10-day forecast. A little bit of some improvement temperature-wise here for the coming week as we track highs into those mid-80s. Cooler temps by Friday as we look at highs into the upper 70s. Some low 80s possible too. But we are keeping an eye on a chance there for some shower and thunderstorm activity. Could be a bit of a wet day for the region, so monitoring Friday very closely. But otherwise, gearing up for a sunny seasonal weekend into next week with temperatures more close to average into those lower 80s.
Excited for that humidity to come down. Today was unbearable to be outside.
All this weekend, just absolutely awful.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Another scorcher of a day. We had high temperatures in the upper 80s to low 90s, mid 90s towards Rochester, climbing to 94 for that afternoon high today. Along the river, Winona and Red Wing climbing to 97. Check out the Twin Cities, triple digits for that high temperature here today. Many of us seeing temps anywhere from around 10 to 15 degrees hotter than normal. The rest of this evening, we will continue to see some good improvement, some relief from the heat starting to filter in here tonight. Temperatures sinking back towards the 60s, which is great news because we've been staying in the 70s the last several nights. And even better, looking ahead to some reductions in those dew points. Muggy meter looking a bit more positive here for southern Minnesota, northern Iowa. We'll see dew points in the upper 50s to low 60s tomorrow. Otherwise, trending more towards the low to mid 60s through the rest of this week. So even though it'll still be a bit humid, I feel like 60s would be a big difference compared to the 70s and 80s we've been seeing.
All right, thank you, Sarah. We'll check back in soon.
We continue to look forward to relief from the heat and humidity that we've so bravely endured over the past few days. We're tracking temperatures in the 60s by tomorrow morning. It's been a few days since we've seen that. We, though, still will see some summer-like highs into the mid-80s tomorrow. The biggest point that we'll notice is a change in those dew points. Latest forecast details in your first alert weather is next.
Here's your first alert weather with meteorologist Sarah Gannon.
It was a hot one out there today. High temperature of 94 in the Med City today. Area-wide, a lot of upper 80s to low 90s, mid 90s across the Riverside, Winona, La Crosse, and Red Wing, all climbing to 97. Check this out, though. Triple digits for that high in the Twin Cities today. Area-wide, a lot of us looking at high temperatures today, anywhere from around 10 to 15 degrees above normal. And today's high in Rochester, 94, as I mentioned. It's been a long time since we've seen temps this hot here in the Med City. Dug back into the archives a little bit. The last time we had a high of 94 degrees was back in 2023 on September 3rd. So over 1,000 days ago, 1,058 days to be exact. So nearly 3 years ago. The time before that, where we had a high of 94 or higher, was actually the same year, 2023. It was August 23rd, and the high temperature there on that day was 97 degrees. So some hot conditions back then. Another stretch of hot days here today. So far now, our 94-degree high today brings our total for the 2026 season up to 5 days with highs at 90 or above. Taking a look at what the next big thing is, some relief. Not necessarily feeling it outside at this point in time. Dew points still hanging on in those 70s, but I promise some changes are on the way. Check out dew points towards Duluth, back towards the Minot and the up here area, Aberdeen as well. Dew points are back into the 60s. It'll take a little time to kind of filter things through here overnight, but by tomorrow, especially heading towards the afternoon, looking to see some improvement in those dew points. Tracking dew points into the 50s by tomorrow. Some lower to mid 60s for dew points heading into the midweek and late week. And I've got to say, even though dew points in the 60s is still a bit humid, it's still a bit sticky, it'll be a lot better feeling than the 70s that we've been feeling in the last few days. Still summer-like with highs for the next couple of days into those mid 80s. But looking forward to those improvements, especially the dew points. So tomorrow we'll start off our hot morning temperatures into the 60s, gradually climbing into the mid 80s by the afternoon. Plenty of sun, light breeze there, about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Looking forward to area-wide temperatures into the mid 80s here for your Tuesday. Not too bad. And like I said, with those lower humidity moving back into the area, a little bit more comfortable to spend some time outside. Focus, though, then shifting into the late week. We'll continue to monitor the trend for some rain chances in the area by Friday, watching for some showers and thunderstorms being possible. Current model guidance may be leaning towards a bit more of a soggier day. We need the moisture, so we'll take every little bit that we can get. So continue to keep a close eye on the forecast here in the coming days as we fine-tune those forecast details for Friday with rain chances in terms of totals and where we could be maybe looking at some of those higher amounts to kind of set up. And at this point in time, not expecting severe weather, but a situation to monitor throughout this week.
It would be nice to get a little bit more rain in the area, too, as well.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Sarah.
Let's take one more look at that forecast. Your 7-day forecast for Austin, Mason City, and Winona. Temperatures a little bit cooler in the coming days, better than the 90s, but still above average into those mid 80s here in the next few days. More sunshine ahead in the next 7 to 10 days as well. But we are gearing up for the chance at a few showers and thunderstorms in the area Thursday night, mainly into Friday. So temps maybe a few degrees cooler back into the 70s for those highs. The weekend, though, shaping up very nicely. Expecting to see those afternoon high temperatures this weekend and even into next week, a bit more seasonal into those lower 80s. Looking forward to a pretty decent forecast, and of course, keeping an eye on all of those details that you need to know. We'll continue to track out those rain chances in the next few days. Nick? Congrats to them. We are gearing up for a little bit of some relief here temperature-wise, but more so in the humidity department. So temperatures here for the coming week looking to be better than the 90s. Mid-80s, still above average, but a big difference comparing to the 90s. We are keeping an eye, though, on some isolated storm chances for Friday. Model guidance maybe leaning a little bit more towards an all-day type of an event. So we're watching for some much-needed moisture back into the forecast here by the end of the week. Heading into this weekend, though, gearing up for more seasonal temperatures into the lower 80s. But I've got to say, the big thing that we'll notice for this upcoming week is going to be the drop in the dew points. Still pretty icky outside at this point in time with dew points into the 70s, but we are expecting to see some upper 50s and mainly some lower to mid 60s here in the next few days. So while this dew points in the 60s are still considered humid, I think it'll feel a lot better than the 70s and even some 80s that we had for dew points here this morning.
And a lot more comfortable for the Olmsted County Fair, which kicked off today.
Yeah, really get into full gear here as we move out through the week, and so great for anyone showing livestock, the exhibitors, and just people out and about.